Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 50th episode of Kouryer podcast. Today, I'm joined with Uzoma Dunkwu. He's a concept artist focusing on, and also an animator focusing on character design and animation from Lagos, Nigeria. Now, with that out of the way, could you please give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to be on your podcast. So my name is Uzoma. I am a concept digital artist slash animation director. I also write as well. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. I started with comics in 2012, and then I pivoted into animation in 2015. I'm actually a an engineering major, so I actually didn't study arts in a formal institution. So it's like completely different worlds, engineering and arts, but in my final year I decided that I wanted to follow my passion, and in my country, people who study engineering, they get to do office work as opposed to practicing engineering. And I wanted to do practical engineering. So I decided to pivot into doing something that I wanted to do, something that's, more, something that's more in line with my passion, which is art. And so I started with comics in 2012. In 2014, I entered for a competition, a business competition in my country. I was among the top 50 businesses in the country at the time, but I didn't scale through to the final stages. I wasn't granted the grant. I wasn't given the grant for taking part in the competition because I lost. And at that point, I realized that I had to go back to the drawing board and really look at what my business was, what the business side of things was, and how viable comics could be in Nigeria. And so that's why I decided to start with animation, because I thought animation was more hands-on, and there was a need in the market, in the Nigerian market, for animation. So I started doing commercials for corporate organizations, character designs for individuals, and things like that. Been doing that since 2015 to today. And so recently we decided to work on our own short film. First of all, we did a concept short film in 2018 of Marvel's Black Panther. We put that online. It didn't get so much traction, but it was a learning curve for us. We just wanted to see how far we could push our knowledge in production of animation and standardizing our 2D animation pipeline at the moment, at that point. And then since then, we decided to work on our own stuff, our own film. We started in 2020, just before the pandemic. At this point, we are just about to start production, hoping to secure some funding for it as well to produce the film. We're looking for quite a lot of money. So, yeah, so that's pretty much where we are. It's posted on my Instagram handle, so you can see what the film, like you can get a feel of what the design, what the character design, and what the film will be about from the poster. That's pretty much, the name of the film is Artsy. So that's pretty much my background.
All right, and by the way, good luck with your getting the animation up and running and getting it finalized. And could you please tell us a bit about the story of the animation and what's it about?
Okay, so I won't go into too much details because it's not public information yet, but I can give you an idea of what the story is about. So it's the character, the protagonist of the story is, his name is Obi.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite similar to me in person. It's kind of like my own, is
Mm-hmm.
inspired by my own personal story as someone who studied engineering and decided to do animation and art. So the story is about a boy called Obi who loves to draw, who loves to he loves being an artist, but then he has this challenge with following his passion, because he comes from a family that doesn't really support him, and so that's the conflict in his life, where he has to surmount and kind of overcome. And then along the way, he loses his way because of the pressure along the journey in his life, he loses his way because of the pressure from his family, and then ends up doing, science. But then towards the end of the story, he finds his way back, with a conflict that he has with his daughter, which kind of reminds him of the relationship he had with his own father. So he sees like a ripple effect. He sees himself. His father is like the antagonist of the story, but then as he goes on along, the protagonist, now becomes the antagonist to his own daughter's dream. So it's kind of like repeating that cycle of depression and oppression in his life. So at that point, he realizes and he has to find his way back. And then, he finds his passion. He goes back to his passion, and that's pretty much what the story is about. So he finds his way back.
And all right, and I think there's some like disruptions with the connection, if I'm not mistaken, but I think it should be fine. I mean, I'm just noticing it a bit. And well, let's move on to the next question. When it comes to, of course, your work as an animator and also character artist, how does your design process usually go any time you want to start working on a project?
So I like to work closely with feedback based on what the client's brief is. So there is, at the early stages, I like to gather as much references as possible, do some research, read up on the scripts if there are scripts, read all the write-ups, and get as much possible references as I can online. I get references mostly from Google and Pinterest, and I gather all these references together and use them to design the characters. I get references not just, and most of my references are from real life. So I don't like to use references of other people's art unless I'm instructed to create it in a specific art style or art direction. So yeah, that's pretty much my process. I first of all do sketches, like rough sketches. Once they are approved, I go on to tighten up the sketches by cleaning them up. And then if the cleanup is approved, then I go ahead to color. That's pretty much my process.
All right, and who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
I like Shiyun Kim a lot. I like Amy Thompson. I like Alberto Miogo. Jesus Alonso Iglesias. I kind of like skip them. Okay. I also like Ming Jun Helen. I can't really remember the names. There are a lot of artists that inspire me, but most of the artists are basically in the animation industry as opposed to other industries like comics and concept art and all that. So yeah, it's mostly animation. So one thing I did was, when I started out, was I made sure that I streamlined my visual library and my sources of inspiration to only animation, as opposed to just following. So if you check out the people I follow on Instagram, for example, I don't follow comic artists. No matter how good the comic artist is, I don't follow them, because these guys do amazing art, and it could just kind of be a distraction for me, because I'm not able to stay focused and produce the what is required of me in animation. So I decided to just stay focused on only animation visual development artists.
All right, and what is the main subject of your artworks and what made them interesting to you? By artworks, I mean, of course, there's a lot of things that you get commissioned by clients or studios, but I mean your personal artworks and that you do for yourself and your own projects.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, the subject of those.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I I get some pushback sometimes on social media. People asking me why I design black characters, only black characters, as opposed to characters from other races. For me, what I do is about representation. I am I'm 100% for representation, because we haven't seen characters like us growing up. I haven't seen, too many black characters, prominent black characters. The only few I can think of were Fat Albert and Wayne Head, and these were not like, they were not too cool. They were not too
Hmm.
cool. They were not as cool as Superman. They were not
Yeah.
as cool as Batman. They were not as cool as the Spider-Mans and all. So I took it upon myself to take some time out um, to explore black characters, of all kinds, of all
Hmm.
shapes, including albinos. Like all kinds of characters,
Hmm.
especially from Africa, just so the world can see.
Hmm.
And then I try to put as much degree of excellence as it would be, as you would if you were seeing a Disney design, or a Pixar design
Hmm.
character. So it's just to let the world see that they've been missing out on the opportunity to explore an entirely different race of people that have not been explored over time. Storytelling is very important for us in Africa, and we have over 3,000 ethnic groups, and these ethnic groups have not been represented at all in animation. So it's way too much for me. I look at, platforms like ArtStation, Pinterest, and I hardly see black characters. I see mostly white characters, and you know I said, what, I'm looking for references for black characters and I can't find them. For black, black design characters, and I can't find them. So how about, instead of looking for them, why don't I, be the one to start creating them? If it never existed before. So my whole idea was to flood the internet with as much black characters as possible, just so that people can see and have various ideas, and to explore storytelling for the black community. So that's basically why. So,
All right, that's awesome. Actually, I mean, of course, fortunately, right now, I mean, in this day and age, like aside, like other like ethnic groups are being more represented in the media as well, like in comparison to 90s or even like 10, 15
yeah.
years ago. But I mean, like, here's the thing, I'm completely love what you're doing, because it's a kind of a pity, because like, for example, like the philosophy of a lot of the investors and producers for like making like original white or Asian characters, giving them to black actors, I don't think that's empowering. I think instead they should just work on
Yeah.
original like cool characters, like African like black character. I mean, that's way cooler than, I don't know, just making Batman.
Black. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I
I get
mean?
you. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty. Like, I recently watched this movie series on Netflix, Lupin, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken. I don't know if you
I've seen
checked
it,
it or
but
not.
I haven't watched it. But I've seen it on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but honestly, it was really awesome, and the actor was super amazing and everything. And I mean, of course, Arsène Lupin was originally like, I guess, a white character. He was like a French novel, but the guy nailed the role like so good, that I just accepted, the guy as, the actor was an African American. I like to know Arsène Lupin as him than the original version. That's how good he
Yeah,
played the role, you
awesome.
know. And stuff like that happens. But yeah, I mean, what you're doing is really awesome and good on you. And all right, let's move on to the next question. What technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works?
Well, I use a range of software from 2D to 3D. The most used software on my computer is Photoshop. I use Photoshop every day, almost every day. I also use software I use a lot is Toon Boom Storyboard Pro. I also use Toon Boom Harmony. I use for 3D software. I use ZBrush, Maya, a little bit of Blender, Substance Painter Designer. A lot of software. I think it's just based on what it is I'm working on at that point in time.
All right, awesome. And what do you use, a Wacom tablet, or what kind of hardware do you use?
Yeah, I use a regular PC as well as a Mac. I started out with a Mac and just got a PC recently.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a display tablet, but it's not the best of qualities. I'm saving up to buy a much better one like a Wacom. But I do use a Wacom tablet, not a display tablet, a regular tablet at the moment.
Yeah, I mean those Intuos ones are actually really good.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, of course they're not display tablets, but they're really good. I've been using one of them for 3 years now, and it's been just
yeah,
doing
yeah.
amazing. And all right, let's go to the next question. Well, any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Well, I guess I'll just advise based on my own experience. So I once used to like to do a lot of concept arts based on fan art and all the popular things going on. So if we see a new episode of Wonder Vision, we get to illustrate it out, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all those kind of things. I mean, it's good if you want to create stuff out there for people to see, for you to be easily discovered on social media. You're following the trends, using the hashtags and all that. That's great. But to build a portfolio, I think what people look out for the most is originality. I have been fortunate enough to find what I think I'm good at and what I think is unique to me, which is exploring black characters. So people, when I put up stuff online, I get a lot of response because people are like, they've never seen stuff like this before. So I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is to find your voice and then use that voice to create your own portfolio. So your portfolio can be online, it can be a website, it can be ArtStation, it can be Instagram. But I think where you choose to put your works is not as important as the works itself. So make sure that your works represent who you are and it's original. You're not trying to pander to the trends and all of that. You have your own voice. Yeah, I think that works the most. You're most likely to be found easily
Yeah.
that way.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that could really help is also, I mean, everything you said completely is true, but another thing that people should also put in mind is to, basically what I'm trying to say, just find their own niche. So don't like shoot everywhere all the subjects and put them on your
Yeah,
portfolio, like environment, character,
yeah,
and all of that. And even when you get into like character or environment, try to go more niche. Like someone is just like is an environment artist and he just designs like different variations of dungeons.
yes,
So imagine if Magic the Gathering wants to hire like an environment artist for dungeons, who do you think they're gonna
yes,
get? Or message
exactly,
you, the person who made their portfolio perfect for
exactly.
that role. And yeah, I mean this is like
Yeah,
super important. And
100%.
all right, next, yeah. And all right, next question. What are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of the project is it? I mean, of course, you already mentioned the animation that you're working on, but aside from that, are there any other stuff going on?
Yeah, there are projects I'm working on that I can't disclose because of the contracts I signed and all.
All right, no
Yeah,
problem.
I'm doing some work for Netflix. They're working on a concept. I've had various studios reach out to me, but we haven't finalized yet. So I can't disclose what I can't say what I can't mention the names of those studios, but I can only say that I'm only doing some work for Netflix at the moment, and there are a couple other studios that have reached out to me as well.
All right, awesome. And all right, next question. What area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course art and animation and all that, are you interested to explore and learn in the future? What I mean by that, like imagine, like hypothetically, suddenly you had a lot of free time and money and resources. Basically, you wouldn't have to worry about stuff, so you could explore your creative
Yeah.
side freely. What would you do, or what would you learn? It could be learning something, it could be like doing anything. What would you do in that free time?
Yeah. So I told you that I do write as well. So and create I'm into creation of new IPs and all of that. So I have a couple of IPs we're working on, but some of them are low key. So if I had all the time in the world and all the money, there is one particular IP that I want to work on. I know that it would involve a lot of artists, coming together to create this world that we probably haven't seen before on the big screen. So yes, I have an IP like that I would like to work on if I had all the money in the world.
Awesome, awesome. And another thing I want to ask is that actually, the episode we're recording right now, and to ladies and gentlemen who are also listening or watching on YouTube, this is episode 50. And I mean, of course, you probably saw it in the captions, and I've done like 50 episodes by now, including this. And actually, you're the second artist I interviewed from Africa, and like one of my goals is to interview artists from all over the world.
Awesome.
Like the places that still remaining are kind of East Asia and Australia. Like I didn't still have places from there. And before you, I had Kofi Ofuso from Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. And I asked him, and the specific thing I'm going to ask from you, I asked from him, which I basically asked about the general art scene in the country and also the Africa in general. Like now, I want to ask you, how is the art scene, and in your personal opinion, you think that the future of it is in Nigeria or maybe your city, in environments, or in your opinion, what should be done to improve it if it's needed, of course? You basically tell us a story about the art scene that's happening there.
Yeah, we do have a lot of potentials. Studios are springing up. We have a couple of studios that have been long-winded and have stayed afloat for years now. We have studios as old as 8 years, 10 years in Nigeria, animation studios. We have very passionate people. We have talented people in this country. But what I find that we're lacking at the moment is proper skills for animation. We have talents, we have people that are created, we have creative, we have people, that have that genuine interest for it. But I guess maybe due to infrastructural lack of infrastructures and basic amenities, people are they find themselves struggling with following their passion, following this creative passion, and honing on their skills to improve the quality of their works. So and because of that, like me, I'm self-taught, and not everybody has the kind of tenacity and that commitment to follow through with something. So I really don't blame people, but I would say that if we had proper financing and capital, it would be great for us to invest in those kind of people and bring them together under one roof in a proper artistic institution with standard syllabus to train them on what animation is really about. For if as much as 2 to 3 years courses, they need to be grounded in proper production skills for animation. So I think that's what we're really lacking at the moment. There are only a few people that are very, very talented that we see on social media, because it's not so easy to coming from this part of the world. I mean, my first laptop, I had to borrow money to buy it. So things are pretty tough in this part of the world. So I think that's what I can say. We have talents, we have raw talents, we have people with potentials, but the skill, the real the necessary skills for them to be employable is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable. And I mean, where I'm from, I'm actually from Iran, but I'm living in Turkey right now. So I've been living in Iran for like the first 21 years of my life, and it's actually the same kind of similar thing to Nigeria. And like, of course, we've been like progressing a bit in that regards, but the thing that really helped was, I mean, of course, a lot of talented people, I mean, if they have the opportunity, they will leave the country for better opportunities outside in US or Europe and stuff like that. And a lot of those people who are now talented and trained, some of them they feel stable enough, so they just come back to Iran, like their home country, and they're teaching right now. They're teachers, and I think what could really help Nigeria are basically similar countries to this, if the like teachers from the same country that went abroad to learn or work in animations or industry, they could
Yeah.
come back and teach in like institutions. Stuff like this really really helps,
Yeah.
and solidifies the whole art scene, like in general, not just in Nigeria. I mean, in any place that needs
Yeah.
it. And I mean, in Iran, I'm going to be honest, like we have really strong digital art and animation
Mm.
recently. Like the scene is growing so rapid. I mean, trust me, there's no future in it in Iran. But I mean, the people who are like practicing it, of course, they're practicing it for, getting
Okay.
abroad. Because a lot of people, like even who are in Iran, get like really good paying commissions. I'm just going to say that from like outside clients because they work on their talents and their skill, because the knowledge is coming
Mm.
inside from the people who went
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the whole point of what I'm trying to say, and that could really help
Yeah.
Nigeria as well, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And all right, with everything that's been said and done, to conclude what we discussed, could you please give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set, when it comes to animation, drawing, character art, and all that? Basically, give us a step-by-step roadmap for someone who is zero.
Yeah, so I guess that's a very tough question because for me, it took me a lot of years experimenting, trying my hands on different things. I guess when you're young, it makes sense for you to dabble in a few things and just to find out which one is more interesting, which one gets your attention the most. So if you are young, I think you should just try out as many things first. Just take a little time to try out various things: animation, character design, background painting, layout, 2D animation, hand drawn, 3D animation. Grooming, everything. Just try different things first. Then you find out which one is more interesting, which one draws your attention the most, and which one is you actually want to focus on. And then make sure you actually focus on that one, and don't try to jump to the left or the right. So if you, for example, want to be a character designer, you focus on character design. Make sure that when you go to social media, you follow only character designers. So this is my suggestion, and you don't have to take it. There is no, it's not a hard and fast rule. It's not a rule of thumb or anything. I'm not saying that this is the only way it works. People can figure out many ways, but this is my own suggestion. So follow only people that are in that space where you're targeting to be the best at. Make sure you put in as much. If you need to study, if you need to get a degree online, and there are schools like Plural Sites, CGMA. There are various digital art schools online. You can take courses there. If you want to do VFX, for example, I think Normon, GNOMON, is a very good school for that. There's also Schoolism. Schoolism is also a good online school as well, for character design. So you can, make sure you focus on that and get the degrees necessary to focus on that, and then take some time out to get all the trash work out of your head, and then just keep producing and producing and producing. I don't know so much about posting online. I think posting online is important when you have gotten a bit of confidence in the quality of work you're putting out. Don't wait too long, and don't be too quick to put online as well. So if you start putting your work out at the right time, you can get feedback from people. When you see people's responses, I mean, people's responses is not the ultimate arbiter of the quality of your skills, but responses can help you, realize or fine tune your area of focus and your area of interest, so that you can continue to hone on that skill and improve on it. Then make sure make sure you are visible online as well. Try to be on different places like ArtStation, Behance, Instagram, maybe Pinterest. Just make sure you're visible. LinkedIn also, like you won't believe it. LinkedIn is actually, I get more traction on LinkedIn than Facebook. So yes, LinkedIn is actually very, very important as well. Don't forget LinkedIn. Yeah, so I know it's difficult. So when you post on Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram and all these places, you have to post at the same time. It's a lot of work, but make sure you try to be consistent at that. And after a while, people will notice your consistency and they will reach out to you. And hopefully you'll be improving as you are being consistent as well. So I think that's best. That's best advice based on my own experience. That's the best advice I can give you. You won't need to find people; they will find you. Like there was a point when I was really looking for a lot of work. I was looking, trying all my possible best to get people's attention. Every single work that came in, every $100 job was a big deal for me. But now there's so much work that I'm telling people. People reach out to me on Instagram commission. I don't do commission anymore. So and all the jobs are coming to me now. I did not reach out to them. I never reached out to Disney. I never read Disney, DreamWorks, Nickelodeon, Marvel. All these guys reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them. I did not do anything on my own part. So I'm just saying that if you are consistent and make sure you have your own unique voice and your quality is improving and you're consistent, then you'll definitely be found online.
Exactly, and the thing that I want to also mention is that I mean a lot of these big companies and like some of the people who are listening to this podcast are even dreaming of my camera are dreaming to work with. They always like have talent agents on the lookout, on every single social media. Like LinkedIn, of course. I mean, as you said, is the most important. It's like the first, I think, thing they like look through, in the scene. Because that's the most formal like social media for businesses, and they always look for artists and works. There's talent agents everywhere. You wouldn't believe, and especially in the age of social media, it's so fast and easy for them to find you. It's all you need to do. Just as cliche and cheesy as it sounds, but just do what you love, be consistent, and there's always a niche that someone somewhere needs,
exactly.
So you never know. And I mean that's about it. And thank you so much for coming by. And where can people contact you if they had a question?
My email is uzomadunkwu@gmail.com. You can send me direct emails. I respond. Also, if you send me a DM on Instagram, I will respond as long as you don't say hi or hello. I'll respond to you.
Oh yeah, they message hi and hello, then expect you to say hi, then they ask their questions like that. Oh, all right. I mean, just say whatever you want, like in a single paragraph.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And all right. Well, thanks so much for coming by. It was a real pleasure. And take care, everyone. See you in the next episode.
Right.
Bye.